Eye for an eye. Leviticus, an eye for an eye. If anyone injures his neighbor, whatever he has done must be done to him, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Just as he injured the other person, the same must be inflicted on him. Whoever kills an animal must make restitution, but whoever kills a man must be put to death. Exodus, personal injury laws. But if a serious injury results, then you must require a life for a life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, and stripe for stripe. Deuteronomy, the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. You must do to him as he intended to do to his brother. So you must purge the evil from among you. Then the rest of the people will hear and be afraid, and they will never again do anything so evil among you. You must show no pity, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. If you listen close, you will hear in the control mechanism of the media, in movies and books and TV shows, a message they want to convey that empowers them. A message that empowers the dark side of the controlled drama aspect of them. And that message is that you cannot define evil. They will say something to the effect of, only the gods know the difference between good and evil. They also tell themselves that you can make up for bad deeds with good deeds. Using this philosophy, there are actually people who pay off the church before they die thinking it will actually make up for bad deeds. Luckily for everyone, there is only one thing that we can do that is wrong. There is only one line in the sand, and the line is very clear. The only thing that we can do that is wrong and can be defined as evil is the initiation of aggression and physical violation of another's consent. It should not be possible to vilify someone for anything other than the initiation of aggression and physical violation of another's consent. This is the line in the sand. To initiate aggression and physically violate another's consent for any reason is evil. You cannot make up for bad deeds by paying off the church. And the difference between good and evil can absolutely be defined. Evil will always be coming up with reasons and justifications to initiate aggression and physically violate the consent of others. It will almost always do so in a sneaky way, a way in which it will not be held accountable. It fails, goes away, changes form and tactic, and tries again in some new way. But whatever it does, what it is trying to do is always the same. It is always trying to cross the line and initiate aggression and physically violate another's consent and get away with it no matter what form or tactic it uses. Equilibrium is an incentive-based system of cooperation that operates in recognition of the universal law of civility, which states that one must never take of another without consent for any reason. The universal law of civility should be the primary rule to adhere to in all relationships at all levels, including the relationship between governing bodies and the people. The universal law of civility states that no one should ever take of another without their consent. This includes the taking of another's life, the taking of another's body without their permission, the taking of another's property, the taking of another's right to choose. The universal law of civility is the law, and it is the only one. This is the law: do what thou will, without initiating aggression and physically violating another's consent. Equilibrium is a system that allows everyone to follow the universal law of not initiating aggression for any reason. Rules can be created as guides to assist everyone with upholding this universal principle under all circumstances. No individual or group has the right to come up with reasons to justify breaking the only law. All emotion and all speech is acceptable and tolerable. Nothing justifies the initiation of aggression and physical violation of another's consent. There must be eye for an eye consequences for all initiation of aggression and physical violations of consent. No one has the right to buy their way out of eye for an eye consequences. The knowledge that there will be eye for an eye consequences for all initiation of aggression and physical violations of consent is the ultimate crime deterrent, since a perpetrator will know in advance that what they do to another will be done to themselves. Whoever prevents eye for an eye consequences from being administered should be held accountable for creating and enforcing an environment of violence. Pain is the price and the ultimate crime deterrent. This consequence should be upheld in every case where there is undeniable proof of malicious intent. Upholding the law is a matter of integrity and is everyone's responsibility. Legislature is mob rule. The mob either takes action on behalf of someone or will not take action against you for something that you might do. However, law enforcement is never something that should be used by breakaway groups to morally condemn and profit off of others while they themselves go unjudged. Instead of breakaway groups forming and acting upon each other, we will all be on equal standing in upholding the law and providing law enforcement. We all understand the foundational concept of the law, to never initiate aggression for any reason, and with that knowledge we can each uphold and maintain the integrity of law in our local area. The only time physical force can be used against another is in response to the crime of initiating aggression and physically taking from another without consent. In order for eye for an eye consequences to be administered, there must be undeniable proof of malicious intent and then approval of action from a decision-making body of accountability. The task can first be offered to the victim or their family, otherwise anyone can then earn credit for completing the task of administering eye for an eye consequences, but it must be done in conjunction with another who bears witness and records the event to make it part of the public record. Incarceration should only be used when there is a continued threat of physical violence, and to prevent physical violence, once eye for an eye consequences are administered, everyone is free to go on their way. All other rules that are broken and crimes committed have consequences that can be rendered simply through identification. Law enforcement in all nonviolent cases can be as simple as taking a picture and properly identifying someone. There is no need to arrest or incarcerate nonviolent offenders. Through identification, their virtual accounts can be affected as a consequence, or in some cases their incentive percentage rates can be affected for a period of time. Incentive rates can be increased or decreased to produce desired effects in society. The knowledge that eye for an eye consequences are being used will put an end to most violent crime immediately. There should be no statute of limitations for violations of the law, although a one-time compromise can be made in the special event of switching over to a system with eye for an eye consequences. You can say that from this day forth, eye for an eye consequences will be used for all initiation of aggression and physical violation of consent, no statute of limitations. Whether we initiate aggression and physically violate another's consent is the primary condition upon which all souls are judged. Those who do not meet justice in this world will face consequences in the next world, and know that eye for an eye consequences is a compromise. To initiate aggression against others is to take steps down the path that leads away from humanity. There needs to be eye for an eye consequences for all initiation of aggression and physical violations of consent. That includes all members of the state. No statute of limitations.